We've been together for 46 years. She doesn't need me.
Dr. Phil and his wife Robin McGraw are known for being a power couple. But what lies under the surface with these two? Are there any cracks in their marriage that they refuse to talk about? From strange lawsuits to rumors about Dr. Phil's toxic behavior, there's actually a lot more to them than meets the eye. It turns out that they might not be a perfect couple at all. Pay attention because this story is super shocking. Dr. Phil and Robin McGraw have been together for decades at this point. They got married on August 14th, 1976, and they actually have 2 children together, Jordan and Jay. Robin has featured on Dr. Phil's show a bunch of times, and the two of them have always come across as a very accomplished couple. I mean, we all know that Dr. Phil has had a pretty impressive career, but actually so has Robin. She is a philanthropist, an author, and a TV personality. She deeply cares about a lot of important issues, such as women's rights and children's rights. Robin is the founder of When Georgia Smiled, the Robin McGraw and the Dr. Phil Foundation, and she's done a bunch of other really admirable things. So on the surface, she and Dr. Phil really seem perfect. But that might actually not be the truth at all. They've both been involved in some pretty crazy controversies, including some pretty wild lawsuits that actually happened not too long ago. Robin and Dr. Phil are no strangers to legal issues. They've been sued by a bunch of different people, including some of the former guests on Dr. Phil's show. In 2019, a woman named Josie Goldberg sued Dr. Phil and the show for $10,000. And she even mentioned Robin in the lawsuit too. Josie claimed that she appeared on the show a bunch of times over the years. The first time was in 2010, but she was also featured in 2011, 2014, and 2017. Josie alleged that she was owed money for her appearances on the show, and this is why she decided to sue them. But the reason she mentioned Robin in the lawsuit was pretty strange. She said that Robin had laughed at her on the show, and also gave a thumbs up to someone who made a comment about her. Josie said that this resulted in people not wanting to work with her, which was another reason why she wanted those $10,000. This lawsuit was honestly pretty crazy, but it was far from the only one. Dr. Phil and Robin were also sued because of their dog at one point. Reportedly, the dog had attacked their former best friend, Janet Harris. Janet supposedly needed emergency medical treatment due to the attack, and as a result, the famous couple got sued. But there's more. The two of them were also once sued by their decorator, and at one point they also dealt with a lawsuit from a skincare company. But probably the craziest lawsuit was the one that they filed against someone else. Dr. Phil and his wife once sued the National Enquirer, and they did this because of some of the stuff that the Enquirer had published about them. This lawsuit happened in 2016, and it was reported that from the late 90s to the time of the lawsuit, the media company had published about 85 articles about Dr. Phil and his wife. These articles featured many different accusations that Dr. Phil and Robin took issue with. For example, they wrote about a supposed secret divorce deal, as well as about some serious essay allegations. Eventually, Dr. Phil and Robin decided to fight back. They filed a $250 million lawsuit in Palm Beach County, Florida, citing libel and malicious defamation. The couple basically said that the tabloid used their names to earn some money, which might have been true, but the whole thing was even more interesting than that. In the lawsuit, they mainly focused on the claim that Dr. Phil harmed his wife physically. The couple said that this allegation had hurt both their professional lives, which made a lot of sense, since Dr. Phil and Robin both work with couples that they are trying to help. So allegations like these would obviously affect their work, because who would want to take advice from someone who was accused of DV? I mean, these rumors really didn't make either of them sound like credible counselors, so I understand why they decided to fight back. But here's the thing, they eventually actually dropped the lawsuit, which is pretty weird. I mean, you'd think that they'd want to take this as far as possible, but apparently that wasn't the case. We don't know what exactly happened. We don't even know what kind of settlement they reached, if they reached any. All we know is that a spokesperson for the Enquirer said that the issue had been resolved to the mutual satisfaction of all the parties. That's pretty vague, but there's more. The spokesperson also said this: the parties have agreed to make no further comment about the lawsuit or its resolution. So basically, we don't know what happened, and we most likely never will. Which just makes me wonder what actually went on behind the scenes even more. Why would Dr. Phil and Robin agree to this? It's all just super confusing. Other than lawsuits, the couple have also dealt with some other pretty crazy drama. Like I said, they've always made themselves look like this amazing, perfect couple. But did you know that Robin actually isn't Dr. Phil's first wife? They actually got together shortly after Dr. Phil's first marriage ended, which is pretty interesting. But it gets even stranger, because his first marriage was actually kind of bizarre. Before Robin, Dr. Phil was married to a woman named Debbie Higgins. The two of them tied the knot in 1970, but their marriage actually didn't last very long. They got an annulment just 3 years later in 1973, which was around the time Dr. Phil started seeing Robin. But why did he and Debbie separate? Well, I guess it depends on whose version of events you believe. According to Dr. Phil, the two of them annulled their marriage because their relationship just kind of fizzled out. He claimed that there was never any fallout or anything like that. They just kind of sat down one day and said, "Why did we do this?" And then they went their separate ways. Interestingly enough, though, that's not how Debbie described it. Debbie actually accused Dr. Phil of being controlling. Allegedly, he was so controlling that he even asked her to start weightlifting to make her bust bigger. Debbie also claimed that their marriage ended because of his infidelity, which doesn't sound anything like what Dr. Phil said about their split. It's honestly hard to say what happened there, but it makes you wonder, if he really was that controlling, is he like this with Robin too? I mean, if he is, then their marriage definitely isn't anywhere near as perfect as they'd have us believe. Then again, we don't know for sure that Debbie was telling the truth. And to be fair, she and Dr. Phil got married when he was just 20 years old. They were separated by the time he was 23, so it's likely that he's matured a lot since then. And according to Robin, the two of them are actually very happy together. In 2014, they said that they never fight. Apparently at the start of their relationship, she told Dr. Phil that she wouldn't tolerate anything like that. Robin said, "We had a conversation early on, and I told him it's not natural for me to be in a house where people are screaming and yelling. My parents didn't do it, I don't do it, and I don't want to live in a house like that." And according to her, Dr. Phil got it. And as a result, they just never argue like that. If that's true, that's pretty amazing. Honestly, these two do seem very happy together. They have been involved in some controversies over the years, but at the end of the day, they really don't seem to be headed for divorce or anything like that. So even though they might not be a perfect couple, they might still be a pretty good couple after all. But what do you guys think? Do you think Dr. Phil and Robin are a good couple? Or do you think there might be something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about? Let me know in the comments below.